The courts decided many years ago that there's two supplies that an opticians will be making, one of which is the supply of clinical care and the other one is the dispensing of products. So as far as the dispensing of products is concerned, there may be an element of pure product for that. If someone comes in and buys some Plano sunglasses, there may be no dispensing involved in that at all. But if someone was to come in and want some sun specs with a prescription, then there's two elements to that, one of which is clinical and one of which is pure product. Now, different practices will have different ways of accounting for that. Some, and we're still finding quite a lot coming to us, have never really worked out a way of separating it and are paying far too much VAT on the supplies that they make. In which case you can make a back claim as far as receiving a repayment for that VAT that you've overpaid in the past. There are other practices that have decided some years ago that they wanted to use quite a high percentage to work out what the clinical care side of their dispensing was. And certain rules that have come in from Customs and Excise since then have changed the way that practices are allowed to account for VAT. So what happens is they've actually over-declared, and it's those practices that have to be very wary if they were to get a VAT visit that there may be an assessment raised on them. An assessment being the taxman charging that practice with additional VAT that hasn't been recovered in the past. So what's the best thing to do? Well, any practice that hasn't agreed a method with Customs and Excise in the last 4 years should really get an advisor that knows about VAT and opticians and put something together that will obviously give that practice the best recovery of VAT that it can, but is something that the Customs and Excise will agree to. Now, of the various methods that are allowed at the moment, there are two in particular that are used by most practices. The first one will be called fixed cost apportionment, or FCA, and in applying FCA it's a nice easy way of dealing with it. You take a percentage and you apply it retrospectively to the mixed supplies that have been made in the past. Another method of doing it that's available now is called separately disclosed charging. With separately disclosed charging you can actually apply a VAT percentage to each dispense that you make. And if you're doing that in the right way and in bringing in all of the exempt activity to do with that dispense, then it could be that you have a much higher exempt percentage overall than by using the fixed cost apportionment method. So the two prime ways of doing it, one is separately disclosed charging, which will invariably give you a higher return of VAT. You should get quarterly VAT repayments. And the second one is fixed cost apportionment, which is easier but will probably mean that you end up receiving less of a refund, or you might make small payments on a quarterly basis.